You know, people bring us cars and they sort of have a preconceived notion. I mean, yeah, we're experts at it and everything, but every car that comes in has had its own life. People have sort of expectations, they have values that they think is, you know, and they think that we're just going to be able to make phone calls for parts. And in some cases, you know, if you bring us a 69 Corvette, yeah, we can make a phone call and get all the parts in. But, you know, if you bring us a 1948 Talbot, we're not going to be able to just pick up a phone and order parts. You know, and that can even be held true. You can get an American car that was produced in the 1970s that you can't get parts for because the car is not popular enough for somebody to remake parts. The original parts are all gone. And, you know, you're sort of left with scouring, you know, the United States and Canada, and sometimes Europe for bits and pieces, or Australia, you know. And I mean, you've got to pass that on. And I mean, I've watched this hobby change. When I first started restoring cars, you literally could buy a carburetor for a Triumph, like a TR4, you could buy it for 20 bucks, sometimes 10 bucks at a flea market. Now that same carburetor would be $300 or $400 or $500. You know, it's about greed. It's about knowing that when you got the bit and some guy phones you, he doesn't want to put it on his shelf, he needs it. You know, so those are the things you put up with. Labor has gone up. People don't get paid $1.25 an hour anymore, especially not the good ones. You know, everything goes up. I get guys coming in here and say, well, geez, the last car I did, I restored the whole thing for $9 grand. Well, yeah, but, you know, doing that same car now, just the chrome at another shop will cost you $30,000 or $40,000. You know, so, you know, times change. Money becomes worth less more against the job you're pitting it at. Knowledge reduces, the availability of parts is less and less. The skill levels of the staff have to be maintained, and in order to maintain somebody who's got a high level of skill, you have to pay them a decent wage. You know, so I mean, all of these things gang up to make it a fairly expensive proposition. And I mean, we're very upfront with people, and when we tell them what things really cost, they, oh my God, you know, and I mean, a lot of them really have the idea that we're stealing, not realizing that of all the things that you can do involved with cars, this is probably the least profitable, you know. I mean, if I wanted to make money, I'd have a body shop or I'd have a car dealership selling new cars, you know. You know, when I was a kid, I just loved cars and I just loved every car, and I was really hard on them. I mean, I knew nothing about mechanics. What I did know that if you drag race a car consistently, they only last about 3 or 4 months and then you got to get a new one. And I mean, I did my fair share of that. And I think by the time I was 25, I'd already had 25 cars, you know. And I mean, some of them have been really nice, they just haven't lasted long. Then I became a professional artist, and I was an artist for 18 years, and I did very well, but the first 5 or 6 years, I didn't do very well. And, you know, I bought myself an old Land Rover, and, you know, if you're not a mechanic and you have a Land Rover, you quickly become a mechanic just to get somewhere. And that sort of started it. And because I had a fascination with off-road vehicles, I started restoring military vehicles, so I'd be painting during the course of the day and being very disciplined in what I was doing, and I would need somewhere to sort of go and relax. My idea of relaxing was just go outside and bash and crash on some old car and make it, you know, or actually old vehicle, because I was restoring military trucks, and I started off with Jeeps and worked my way right through to a Sherman tank. Fortunately, it's the love of this more than the ability to make money with it that is the big lure.